guys. Hey. Welcome back. All right, Sagittarians, let's go ahead and take a look. Since we are just a little bit more than halfway through this year, I wanted to take a look at what things are growing, what things are blossoming, what to look forward to. Obviously, we've got green on. I've decided to wear my snake bracelet today. It's about change. It's about transformation. We have a mastery of coins here. Mastery of coins is that in this case, it's actually a King of Pentacles, although we see a feminine there. We've got the Ace of Swords. There's some kind of a truth coming in, a truth about resources, a truth of somebody who perhaps wants to give something that would give greater, I'll say, abundance and peace and harmony even to Sagittarius. Like Sagi's life could get immeasurably easier. Maybe somebody has, I don't know, an inheritance coming in. Could be just support though. This could be somebody who wants to like wash away some kind of hurt or pain or tears. Again, this is actually a King of Pentacles who wants to give. They want to give something to Sag in this next, chapter of the year. Ace of Pentacles. This really does feel like an offering coming in, a peace offering, let me give you a truth. And I think that the truth is actually going to be very soothing. It's going to give Sag a new perspective. Sometimes we walk around and we have a lot of hurt and a lot of pain because we imagine that something, was done for a particular reason and it wasn't. Or we imagine some kind of thing that we think is true only to discover later on that's not actually the way it was. And when we get that bit of information, when we realize that what we were believing, someone did this or said this because they wanted to hurt me or because they didn't care if it hurt me, and then come to find out that's not what it was at all. Totally different situation than what it seemed like. I feel like that's the kind of conversation that's coming in, like a really meaningful conversation. Somebody wants to give a truth to Sag, and I think that truth is going to be very well. In this case, we have liberation, which is actually the Judgment card. It definitely is something that I think would free a lot of hurt and pain, but also bring Sag into a place where like their heart and soul are just much lighter, much softer. Everything just feels like it's going to be so much better for our Sag. Like they may unbelievably find themselves wanting to reconcile with someone. Or again, this could just be a piece of information or truth to better understand someone's behavior. Even if Sag is not going to be like interacting with this person, this could be old information. It's like, I never knew that, whatever, my parental figure struggled with this or that. Okay, all of a sudden I don't feel like wounded. I no longer have like that ache in my heart with, why couldn't my parental figure be there for me? It's like, oh, I didn't realize they were struggling. I see it differently now. Or we had a conversation that was very heart to heart, and I was able to see them as a person, see them, with their struggles or demons, whatever it was. Now in this, we do have the Lovers card and we do have the Six of Wands. All I can say is whatever this conversation is, whatever this very, very meaningful dialogue is, it's not only offering a truth that all of a sudden like changes everything in a dime. It really gives Sag peace of mind. It gives Sag a new kind of lease on life, but it could improve their love life, or it could literally be that this King of Pentacles is the person who's offering this huge conversation and some real truthful dialogue that could really heal the rift between themselves and Sag. It certainly makes Sag feel really good about themselves. It makes Sag's, broken heart heal. It takes away a lot of sting, a lot of pain. Heck, maybe this is a really great session with like a therapist or counselor who says something and it's like this massive breakthrough, or they are really good at listening and they can reflect some things, and Sag is finally able to like hear or see some kind of truth that, it was hidden up until that moment in time. Whatever this is, it sets Sag free. Sag has like a heart that's going to be a lot lighter moving into the second half of this year, and it's going to positively impact their ability to love and be loved. We can definitely see that here. We may have an important Gemini or Scorpio coming in the future, or like I said, because that King of Pentacles is here first and foremost, it could be this King of Pentacles is the person. We have the Chariot in the reverse. We have the Page of Pentacles. I feel like the reason someone has not spoken to Sag in a long time is going to be what the topic is all about. With the I feel like Sag is going to understand why somebody stayed away, why somebody didn't move toward them, why somebody was held up, or why they stopped talking, or why something didn't happen. You know, what was the delay? What was the reason for that blockage? What was the purpose of that? We have a Six of Cups. You know what? Soulmates, here's the way I always describe this. Soulmates are like the people that we sit in class with, right? If life is a big, huge classroom and we reincarnate with like our class, right? Our graduating class. Those are all the souls that we hang with. I'm not saying the people that we were in school with are obviously, you know, like all of them are soulmates, but I'm using it as kind of like, you know, the people we pick up in life and think are important. It's kind of like they're the equivalent of being our classmates in this big, huge thing we call life. And lots of times, you know, if you think back to if you went to like a bigger school, when you get into like middle school, they sometimes, you know, you have your different like classes in different periods, fourth period, fifth period, whatever. And lots of times you and your like little best friends, you don't have history with them. You might have PE with them in fifth period, but you know, the first half of your day, you've got math and art class. And meanwhile, they're over in, you know, whatever, writing and, you know, history. And you don't actually have but one course together. And sometimes you're on totally different tracks and you don't have any of the same classes together. It doesn't ruin the friendship though. It just means I can't see you while we're both in our different classes. But later, after school, we can get together. And I'm picturing that this may be one of those situations where Sag is going to discover that someone who they wanted to be with at one point in time literally had to go learn some other lessons. Maybe they had to go through some remediary classes, you know, the big classroom of life. Maybe this person couldn't join Sag because they didn't graduate from a certain lesson in life yet, but they were going to catch up with Sag later on. And I feel like that is the perspective here. Not everybody can be with us right when we want them to. The same way, not everybody can be in the same class with us right when we wish they could. Sometimes it doesn't mean that the friendship isn't there or that the love isn't there or that the relationship isn't still possible. It just means for a bit, we had to go into different classrooms, and we had different things that we had to learn. Maybe, you know, math was really easy for Sag, but it was really hard for their little friend. And so the friend had to take math class twice. Maybe they had to do a few different things than what Sag had to do to get their life on track. Now we apply that on the big adult scale. Now we're not talking about school anymore, but we are talking about soulmates who sometimes, as much as the love is there and the desire to be together is there, the possibility of it is not, because somebody's got to still do a little bit more work before they get back on track so that they can be with Sag. And I feel like that's what this is about. That's what the big explanation is. Look, somebody has not stayed away from Sag because they wanted to. They stayed away from Sag because they had to, is what it says here. They didn't have the ability to motor themselves forward. That's all different now. This person is very much like, and I do think that this character may hold themselves to an incredibly high standard of, you know, if I can't offer the best of me, then I'm not offering any of me. I do feel like this character, that maybe they got themselves in trouble with the law or something and they had to sort out some of their life. And they're like, I'm not going to be with Sag unless I can come in clean. If I made some mistakes in life, I cannot offer my love to Sag, ask them to marry me and link themselves to me if I have, you know, a messed up track record. I have to first sort out my mess because I'm not going to bring that to Saggy's doorstep. You know, it could be something along those lines. This may have been an element of respect that they didn't try to jump into a situation with Sag. It just says that Sag may be receiving some very, very important information that completely changes the way Sag looks at a situation. It removes some heartbreak. It makes more sense why somebody couldn't be there for them. It also kind of almost reaffirms that this person, they have a lot of love for Sag. That was never the part in question. Now, the one other way that I could read this, because technically we do have two different kings, and I will just throw this out there because I said it in the very beginning, it could be that Sag receives some kind of great feedback, great truth from somebody who helps him see life in a different lens, and that improves Sag's love life. And now we have a new person that is coming into Sag's life. Somebody who could not have entered Sag's life before because Sag wasn't ready to meet them. Not until Sag wrapped their head around something and lifted some hurt and heartbreak off of their shoulders. Now Sag is ready for a soulmate to show up. And I could read it that way as well. So this could be a totally different person. I really can't tell which it is. Let's just see if we can get one last card that might help us. 9 of Cups. I don't know that it matters, just because everything's going to feel so different for Sag. There's so much happiness on the horizon. Maybe this part, this all still has to play out, right? All of this still has to come to pass. But Sag is going to have some, High Priestess and Page of Wands. You know what? I kind of feel like even now, Sag knows that there's more to a certain story, and that they're going to get some kind of clarity that is really going to help them heal. I almost feel like Sag is either hungry for that, aware of that, subconsciously aware that there's always more to a story, and that if we're walking around in pain over something, we kind of know even while we're in pain, this isn't going to last forever. I felt heartbroken, but I kind of already know that I will get through this, and that I may see things in a different light. I feel like Sag is very, very resilient. And I also feel like they are somebody who knows that things don't stay the same. Things don't stay the way we think they are now. We'll grow, we'll learn, we'll have a new, fresh perspective, we'll understand a situation better. That's the beautiful thing. It's not, that old saying that time heals everything. Sometimes I wonder if it's not time, but rather the growth that we go through as passage of time occurs. Every time that clock goes around, we're getting 12 hours older. Every year that passes, we have a year's more amount of life that we've lived on this planet. We've gone through a year's additional ability to grow, ability to experience things and have to assimilate ideas and information, and it changes us. And I don't know that time heals things as much as we grow into a greater comprehension. But I think Sag has always been aware of that. I am currently growing even now. I know this pain won't last. Sag has a subconscious awareness of this, because I almost think that Sag is very ready for this transformation. They're very ready for this lift of the heartbreak. They're ready for this and primed for this knowledge breakthrough, this wisdom, this clarity. They're very much already aware that this is coming. We just got the advantage of seeing how this plays out. And we also see the sweet rewards after the fact. We got a soulmate on the horizon. We've got potentially someone that Sag would want to marry. We have a lot of potentials here for great joy, great happiness. So very nice thing to look forward to and lean into. Got a King of Wands sideways, and there's our Sag all day. This is a really important message, because it says, sometimes we can't look with our eyes, we have to look with our heart. And it kind of reinforces the idea that Sag is maybe on the right path, with knowing that their heart's going to be healing, knowing that they're going to be gaining more wisdom. You notice that really the third eye is probably the most prominent thing. Their eyes, they're not looking with their eyes at all. This is I receive information, I flow information outward, I give and receive, and it all comes from my heart space, not from what my eyes can see, but it's more about my intuition and my heart. And I just feel like Sag is already aware of this. This is a very special Sagittarius. This is somebody who's got a second sight or another kind of vision. There's something about the way they almost already know that this is happening. I feel like none of this will be that big of a surprise to Sag. They've known that their life had to go through these processes, and that they've been, it has taken a certain amount of passage of time, though. I do think that. I feel like everything was stagnated for a little bit, but even in the supposed stagnation, I don't think Sag was ever oh my God, I'm so miserable. When am I ever going to heal from this? I think Sag was this is something that I'm processing. I know I'm assimilating things, and I know that there's going to be breakthroughs. I'll be ready to receive certain information right when the information comes in. And sure enough, the information is coming in right at the time Sag can receive it. And it is the turning point. It is the, oh my God, the freedom of this, and the new, sense of empowerment, and the new, ready for love now, and a really wonderful kind of love story. This is not just Sag is ready to date again. Like, no. Sag is ready for like the soulmate. That all of this has been prepping Sag. You know, it's hard work when you prepare the soil to plant. Planting is easy. Preparation of the soil is hard. And then once you plant things, you pretty much water them, maybe fertilize them a little bit, but the plant does the rest of the work. It's the preparation that a farmer does that's a lot of work. It's plowing the field, weeding the field, you know, digging the holes, turning in the manure. It's all of the prep that's a ton of work. And then after that, you kind of like allow things to happen after you've planted. And I feel like that's a great analogy for this. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Lots of love.